Well, well, well. Look who decided to show up. What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the CultPop podcast live stream, aka spoiler alert. This is episode 781. Holy shit. Where we will review the past week's comics, a smattering of them at least, as well as talk about some fun pop culture topics for your listening and viewing pleasure. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo, JD, of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street in Philadelphia. It's a comic shop. You should come to it and hang out with me. Joining me tonight, Noah Bartocci and Brian Lieb. Sup, nerds?
Hi.
So,
Before jumping into this week's books, I feel like it's more appropriate for us to dive right into a review of what everyone has been talking about all weekend. That's right. I'm referring to the transgressive, multifaceted, metaphysical, action-packed exploration of multiplicity via superhero comics. That's right. Moon Knight on Disney Plus. That just ended. Here's the thing. The joke is everyone's talking about Doctor Strange. But we didn't see it because Noel.
I have COVID.
Yeah. You may think, what about Jadles? Why can't Jadles go see it? Well, because Noel's a friend of mine and we spent time together. And so we're quarantining. Me and my entire family were quarantining. He was all around my baby. He was like holding my son. He was like, yeah, just like
I was gonna say we were playing. I was literally like, oh, baby.
Yeah.
And he was belly laughing. I was like, cool.
And so me and the whole family were quarantining. We're fine. We're great. Poor Noel and his wife are COVID-licious right now.
Can I say one, like, it's wild. So 2.5 years successfully didn't get it. 2 weddings, 2 friends' weddings, Mexico, Florida, multitude of trips to places where you could be endangered, and I got it running 10 miles outside. Yeah. So that's cool.
I had tried to go visit Noel and support him with a sign that said "Parade sucks, but you're great," because he was doing a marathon, and I couldn't find parking and I couldn't find him, and so I gave up and went home. My question, Noel, is like, was there a point where in my head, when I picture a marathon, it starts off with like so many people at the starting line, like everyone's crammed in? Is that how it was?
Funny you should say that, JD. For some people, yes. For me, no.
Yeah.
So I am such a slow runner that they set you up in corrals based on what your proposed time would be for the completion of the race. I am such a slow runner that I am always in the very last corral, which is where all of the people that barely have legs, not even to be ableist, just like we're really bad at running or any kind of endurance, we're all there at the end. So like, let's say the start time's at 8 a.m. I don't start till like 8:45. And by then it's just like maybe 50 of us spread across like a 6-lane highway, and you just start, and it's just like so you could successfully avoid literally everyone. However, those that start at the very beginning, yes, they're all packed like sardines and they asked you to wear masks and stuff. But what's funny, even though I had nothing but space around me, I still wore a mask up until running in the street with no one around me. So I don't fucking know.
Still got it.
I think it's just because I literally exhausted my immune system over 10 miles.
Yeah.
And then just was just a touch more susceptible to it than anything else.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry.
So that all being said, that's why we're not reviewing Doctor Strange, because none of us made it. Well, Brian.
I saw it thinking those guys are going to see it. I have to see this before the show. And also for this one, I wanted to avoid spoilers and figured it would be harder to avoid spoilers for this than even some other Marvel movies. Although I don't think that's really the case. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen too many spoilers looking at the websites that I look at. You were spoiled, right? No?
Yeah, literally, like I was actively avoiding all of social media, and then like while I work, I usually will put on YouTube to listen to like essays or just news clips and stuff, and the algorithm literally fed me, like I just let it go on autoplay, and the algorithm fed me a bootleg of fucking a big old cameo
That sucks.
action scene. And it wasn't even like, by the time I even realized what had happened, it was literally like, oh, that's that person who's doing that thing. This is somebody's video footage of the fucking movie.
Oh, that's
like, it was awesome. Just straight awesome. So I don't think anything could be spoiled for me anymore. Nobody has spoiled the actual conclusion of the movie, so that's cool. But when it comes to any kind of surprise that happens throughout the course of it, whether it be cameos or references, I think they're all ruined for me now.
I think I know what you're most likely talking about, but I'm very
I'm
curious.
sure you do. Two of them were spoiled for me just by being on the internet. But anyway, we're not talking about Doctor Strange. We're talking about Moon Knight, the Disney Plus show directed by Mohammed Diab, Justin Benson, and Aaron Moorhead. Say again?
Daib, I would
assume.
Yeah.
It's starring Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, and May Kalamawi.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kalamawi. Stephen Grant and mercenary Mark Spector investigate the mysteries of the Egyptian gods from inside the same body. Oh, that's a cool little descriptor. So, yeah, we watched... wait, Brian, did you watch all of Moon Knight?
I did. I did watch it all. Yes.
Great.
Thank you for checking.
So we'll do a quick little review of it. What did you think, Brian?
I liked it. I really liked
cool.
it. In fact,
that's it.
I think it's... Yeah. All right. Take it easy, guys. In fact, I think it was one of my favorite Marvel TV shows of their shows.
How many are there now? There's like 6 or 7. How many shows have there been?
One
from Disney Plus. Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Plus.
Loki, Falcon, Hawkeye.
What If?
Okay, yeah. What If?
Yeah, I'll count What If. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know why I think live action more than anything else, because What If could like be made in a bubble with just voices, whereas big productions.
And they say it's continuity in a sense, but it's always a little different when it's a different medium,
Right? Yeah, because everybody refers to these as like making Marvel movies, just longer ones.
Right.
But yeah, I guess those 6.
That's
and
6.
then
Moon Knight.
Miss Marvel is next month.
Nice. Oh, is that next month already? Nice.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little longer. Cool. Did you guys hear that's going to be shown on the big screen in Pakistan, I believe?
Yeah, because they don't have Disney Plus or Star.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, that's cool that they're doing that. So I thought it was great. I thought it was a cool depiction of Moon Knight. Didn't get as much Moon Knight as I would have liked. There was over the course of the series, what we did get was still really cool, like Oscar Isaac doing what he was doing with the multiple people. That was really cool. I liked all of the mystical angle too. I like the Egyptian pantheon, and I think they did a cool job. I thought the realizations of Khonshu and Amit were pretty cool looking. What's her name? The Scarlet Scarab. Turned out to
who
be
I've
cool.
never heard of in my life.
No, me either.
I
thought they made her up for this, but they didn't.
I actually had looked it up. It's a male character. Blah blah blah. But anyway, they I guess they seeded it really early too, with her dad. When we showed him dad, he had a red scarab.
Oh, is that right?
And shit. Yeah.
Oh, how about that? I didn't notice that. Apparently, Echo was early on a potential romantic interest for Moon Knight and was going to be in the show. And then they were like, it doesn't really fit. And Hawkeye was like, well, we want to use Echo. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be an Eternals connection too. And they were like,
oh, really?
Fuck it.
All right.
I really wish they had done that.
Apparently, there was a Thor Love and Thunder thing that was.
They had. We could probably get into it. But they had the creator of the show, Jeremy Slater, and then the main director, Mohammed Diab, talked about how there was a bunch of ways that they had earmarked where they could connect it to the Marvel universe. There was an Eternals touch point in backstories or in flashbacks. There was Echo. There was some Love and Thunder stuff or some Thor stuff or just Asgardian stuff. And every single time they were like, no, it'll be its own thing. No, it'll be its own thing. So that's like in the background. It's just not in the story. They kept referring to, they kept comparing Moon Knight to the first Iron Man. They wanted to structure it exactly like the first Iron Man, which kind of talks to your point, Brian, about how Moon Knight's not really the star of Moon Knight, just like Iron Man's not really the star of Iron Man. In that first movie, he only puts the suit on for maybe 5 to 10 minutes of the entire runtime. So it's kind of what they were.
Interesting.
That was their benchmark.
Yeah.
I think that's actually good. I think that worked to the benefit of the show because my personal opinion is that suit sucked.
Oh, really? I thought it was awesome.
I would have liked this. This here, the Greg Smallwood, for anyone who's listening to this audibly and not watching it, I'm holding up the Jeff Lemire, Greg Smallwood run. And I think his costume here is very cool. And then instead what they did was like, we're going to add a mummy element to it so that it's like he's wrapped in wrappings. The suit is a bunch of wrappings. And then on top of that, there's like a chest plate, his pec sleeve, just a chest plate, also covered in wrappings. And then his face is wrappings. And then he's got a hood on top of that. There's so much going on. It actually reminded me, and some of it looks so CGI that it took me out of the story. It reminded me of the Green Lantern Ryan Reynolds CG suit. And I just hated it.
I didn't feel that. But
now those
except
kind of
for
suits,
I hear you.
Yeah.
The other suit was awesome.
The Mr. Knight suit.
The Mr. Knight
That
suit,
was cool.
even though it doesn't follow the same format as the comic book, which is when Mr. Knight shows up, you're fucked. That the suit and tie Moon Knight shows up, you're done for.
Well,
this one it's like oh, he's the bumbling doofy guy instead. Yeah.
They broke. I mean, the only thing it feels like the only thing that they kept canon was the existence of Khonshu and his DID, his dissociative identity disorder. Other than that, they made their own rules completely. Stephen Grant is a playboy billionaire. He's a bumbling idiot in this, or just a gift shopist. If he refers to himself as.
Well, he used to be.
Like Mark Spector's. Yeah, that's the other. Mark Spector's a mercenary. That's it.
Yeah.
But the personalities are completely different. The rules are completely different. The fact that his costume is supernatural / metaphysical is completely different.
Right.
Pretty cool though. I like that.
The element that traumatized him also is apparently completely different.
Completely different. The system of the personalities is completely different, and then the idea of being able to incorporate the different versions of Moon Knight by having each identity have its own interpretation of Moon Knight, I thought was so fucking brilliant. It doesn't matter if I liked one costume over the other, because by the time they got to the point where they were literally switching personas in suit mid-scene, I was like, fuck it, this is rad. This is rad as shit.
Cool.
And like, spoiler for the very end, if there is an introduction of a different suit for the third persona, even fucking cooler. Like, let's keep going.
Wait, did we get Jake Lockley's suit?
No,
I'm saying if there is one.
If there's ever
persona,
see him ever.
Give me a different one. Maybe it's the because Moon Knight's got like 3 or 4 other iterations of his costume. Riff on one of those and let's roll. Like, I think this is so.
It could be that kind of just cool. Like looks like an actual suit.
Yeah, there's also like an armor one, black and silver armor one that was like mid 90s, early 2000s. Did you notice
Khonshu is wearing like a suit, like a dress suit in that final scene? Which I think is an interesting.
He's a fucking
choice.
mob boss. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah. Now I really liked the suit personally. I didn't see a mummy kind of thing, although they are all wrappings. I was just thinking like ancient. You know what I mean? I'm never one to be bothered by the CGI. I thought Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern suit, or whenever anybody talks about CG being bad, I see it. It's just not something that ever bothers me. It's like, oh, but that's what we can do right now. It just looks like that because that's the limits of our capabilities. So it doesn't really register. But I like the design in general. I thought it looked like cool and not sleek isn't right, but I thought it was cool. Yeah.
It reminds me of Jorge Jimenez's over-designed costumes in the Batman, James Tynion Batman run.
The ghost guy.
Maker with
Ghost
fucking
Maker,
hammer pants, nothing but buckles,
Yeah.
15 like a helmet you don't know how he looks out of. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead, El. You didn't say what you thought of the whole thing.
I thought it was great. It's hard to say what's my favorite of all the shows. I think this was like the most, in a weird way, I felt like this one was the most original and probably the most confident one too, because it was such a complicated kind of show.
And with no connection to anything that existed.
Yeah.
It's not building off of anything.
Complicated too, because not only did they have to introduce a new character, they had to completely introduce a whole kind of like different set of rules, and then also deftly handle dissociative identity disorder in a way that wasn't ableist, which I've read a bunch of articles, and apparently they did an amazing job. Also, apparently, I mean, aside from the visual flourishes of literally him being inside of his own psyche in the afterlife, apparently they did a really, really good job as to how it kind of like manifests and works. And then also apparently Egyptian culture too. Like all the executive producers and the director and writer are all Egyptian, and they were like, you know, we're not going to do kind of like I think his reference was Wonder Woman 84, where like it was Toronto shot for Cairo and just brown people.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to do that. We're actually going to do Egyptian culture. So apparently they nailed all that too. But it just, so much was in the soup, and it still all worked at the end of the day. I was just, I thought that was a little bit more impressive than just another adventure with Loki, even though I loved that show. You know,
people did question the Jewishness of it. You know, they were like, "Oh, he's a Jewish guy." They were like, they did really well with the different identities, but they didn't really show much of him being Jewish. I personally, I was like, all right, he's Jewish. It's not really that big a part of the story.
I like that they didn't over-explain like Jewish for beginners. Like they were sitting Shiva
like
for
he's
his
at a
mother and he
Hanukkah
couldn't
party.
go. Yeah, like it just was. It wasn't like you didn't have like a side character being like, well, you see, when
in Judaism we have a saying.
Like it was just a part of his daily life, like not, and it actually wasn't even a part of his daily life because he was no longer practicing.
No, he wasn't into that.
He's a fucking mercenary. Yeah.
Although Stephen Grant was also Jewish, I think he was wearing the star as well.
The thing, there was a scene that kind of bothered me. I texted Noel about it when we find out about how his split happened.
Oh yeah,
and his mother is just abusing the hell out of him. Yeah. In the scene, Stephen Grant is there. He's American, and then he switches because the mom's banging on the door or whatever, trying to get in, and he switches to Mark Spector. He's Mark Spector. Then he becomes Stephen Grant with the accent, and then she comes in and starts wrecking shop on him. And so they're having a conversation. And Mark Spector is telling Stephen Grant that, you know, you got to grow up thinking everything was fine, and you got to think that mom was still alive and all this other stuff. But what we just saw was Stephen Grant taking the beating.
I thought that was
so. Why does he think everything's fine if he's the one who showed up to get his ass whooped by his mom?
Yeah, it seemed like that should have happened after. After that, the beating,
my explanation for it was that Steven's entire existence was curated and hidden from him. He had an unreliable narrator, so even though he was manifested by protecting,
Christ.
What?
Sorry,
what happened?
Go ahead. No, it's Christopher Goodnight. Go ahead.
Even though he was, it was manifested by protecting or from the beatings over the last 30-something years. Mark kind of hid that from him, like it was essentially just Stephen believed he was original, so him not knowing that he was split from that trauma, whether he was the one taking the beating or the one not taking the beating, was almost the hidden thing. Like his origin wasn't ever known to him, like a repressed memory. I don't know. It just kind of worked for me. I didn't think that it was as binary as you're awake now and you're asleep now kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
it just weird. The storytelling of it was weird. Like, we're going to show Steven pop out, get his ass whooped, and then we're going to have a conversation about how he avoided all the ass whoopings because Mark.
Unless it was like he popped out and then went away when she got in, which is not shown. But if that was their intention,
I think we're trying to math it too much. I don't know. I guess I've seen so many, thriller style movies where repressed memories, no matter who is actually experiencing them, are repressed.
Yeah.
It didn't really hit me as a plot hole so much as we're getting onions peeled away. I don't know.
I don't think it was a plot hole so much as like they didn't explain it well, maybe. I don't know.
Now, I also thought the ending was a little confusing in the sense that there was stuff that didn't make sense about it. You guys agree?
I was not a fan of the smash cut. Like,
which one?
He just woke up in bed with Steven woke up with Mark in his head. We literally did not address any other character or what normal life is now.
Oh, that's true too. But also they're in the psychiatric facility that was in his head.
Yes.
They see Harrow like walking around and blood is coming out of the bottom of his shoes because he's been walking around on glass this whole time. Yeah, but they see that and then they say something to him like things aren't what you thought. He says, "All right, time to save the world." I think as Stephen Grant, right? Then it cuts to that smash cut that you were talking about, Noel. They wake up in bed. There's tied to the bed still is another thing that I don't know why that happened.
Yeah.
Why does he think he can save the world when he seems to have given up the Moon Knight abilities?
So the hospital, the revisit to the hospital was, to me, it was just a narrative way to show that Mark and Steven are now in control, so they no longer need that fake artifice. Got it.
But it seemed to have actual effect on Harrow, right? Like, that seemed to actually be happening to him.
Oh, no, Harrow is in his head, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it was just being able to suss out the villain in his head kind of thing, or like the sneaky voice. But what I didn't like is, okay, so that was telling me that they're in control and they're going to be a force for good or whatever. But then him waking up with restraints, it should have been him waking up without the restraints, because now there's agency.
Exactly.
With
who
Mark
put those restraints on, and why did they do it? Like, which of him? Spoiler alert, Kevin. It has.
It's the name of the show, Kevin.
Hopefully, you figure that out earlier than now.
It's a good show. Just watch it. I mean, I don't. Are there things to truly spoil? Like, there's no. I mean,
Moon Knight does not lose entirely at the end.
I meant in regards to something like the same as Multiverse of Madness. There's no.
Oh, there's no big shocker.
This is all new ground. There's no big tipping things. Like, it's just good. Just watch it.
Which I guess is itself as
the good guy. The good guy gets away with the big thing, and then there's teases for something next. Just enjoy it. It's fine. Yeah.
I did like the final climactic battle. I thought was very well executed, and I like the parallel battles happening. Hello, Mars Comics. I like the parallel battles that were happening. And I thought it was cool that the resolution happens largely off screen. I thought that was a cool twist to show. It's just an interesting way to show like some massive thing happened. Was just
they arguably did it too much in like the second episode. You're like, oh, come on, let's see some of this stuff. And then they didn't do it again for 4 more episodes to the point where I kind of like forgot it. Yeah. And then it was just like right there. I was like, oh, fuck you, but that's pretty good. Well done.
Well, so Wait, yeah. So why though then? Why do Mark Spector and Stephen Grant think, let's go save the world, and are kind of in the Moon Knight costume? You know.
Well, I don't know, because they didn't give us a denouement for the show. Like, I don't know. That was my only real gripe with it, is the fact that the ending is very rushed. I guess. Like, you get
like the post-credit scene though.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, they just kind of skipped over any kind of like actual denouement with the main two characters, right?
Yeah.
And then the third character gets a post-credit scene and a tease for hopefully a second season. I don't know. They haven't said anything.
Yeah. Oh, they said no, I thought, right? Haven't they said they're not doing a second season, or just that they didn't intend it to have the second season?
I'm not sure.
There's a whole bunch of shit online about I guess when the 6th episode dropped, all of like Disney's social media said like the series finale, but then they changed it.
Oh, and then they changed
finale.
it. Yeah.
So
now, obviously, if there's a season 2, or if he appears anywhere else, like, you know, around the Blade and Black Knight stuff or whatever, he will be Moon Knight. Like, that is clear, and it's not going to be only one of the 3 or whatever. But at the end of this, it doesn't seem like it, and so like his actions here are a bit odd. But yeah, overall, I loved it.
Yeah, except for the last 10 minutes of it, which was confusing. I agree. It was good. And also the costume. Didn't like the costume. Mars says, at first I think it was a no to a second season, but then they were like, yeah. All right. Let's see. We didn't even get to the email yet. Holy cats. Let's
get to it.
Running behind. Let's see. Christopher St. Saucy Goodnight wrote in. And then immediately wrote in asking why we haven't read his letter yet.
I mean, should we read his letter then?
I said we would. I took my nephew out of town for Free Comic Book Day and picked up a few books. The Ninja Turtles retro wave looks too cool to pass up. As for the comics, I begrudgingly admit that Bone Orchard was entertaining. Why begrudgingly? Why would you? Never mind. And I will pick up the hardcover that comes out in June. I picked up Hollow, and while the story is entertaining, yay, lesbian romance pining, the art leaves a lot to be desired. Still, I'd check out the first few issues. I'm disappointed that the Electric Black was an attempt to get people to pick up books that came out in 2019. I prefer my Free Comic Book Day issues to launch new series, a la The Six Gun, Umbrella Academy, Super Dinosaur, and stuff like that. So yeah, this past weekend was Free Comic Book Day, and we had so much fun. It was awesome, even though it was downpouring. It was a torrential downpour. But we had such a good Saturday that I actually made Free Comic Book Days. Sunday was also Free Comic Book Day. We kept the sale going, and we had a really great weekend.
Awesome.
Kevin says, I keep trying to watch Moon Knight but fall asleep. Not the fault of the show, just my old body. I feel that, Kevin. And then Kevin had a question in the comments. Everyone else here have favorited canceled or short-lived comics? Remenders, Dr. Vu Run, and Outer Darkness Image are some books taken too soon.
Oh, I got to think about that. So we have, first of all, the Dr. Voodoo, excellent choice. Like, that was such a cool ass book that only got 5 issues.
Oh, I didn't read it. It's my fault.
Yeah,
sorry, guys.
Yeah,
I got it canceled.
I on the same Doctor Strange tip though, like I was straight loving the Mark Waid, Jesus Saez, Doctor Strange book, which turned into Surgeon Supreme with Kev Walker, and then it got canceled after 6 issues, and it was largely because of COVID. Like, it was one of the books that didn't sell well enough to stretch out an extra 3 months of no distribution, but it was so fucking good.
Oh, speaking of COVID, I was having trouble coming up with one, but I'm gonna go with the Gwen Stacy miniseries. Gwen Stacy had her own miniseries along the same time as Mary Jane, Amazing Mary Jane.
Watch your mouth there, JD, because I think that's coming back.
It's coming back.
Yeah.
What is?
Yeah,
The Gwen Stacy,
it's
the very comic you speak of.
I was gonna wait for him to finish. Yeah, it's
Wow.
coming back so stupid. So
Yeah.
instead of finishing the
It's back, but it's
miniseries-
wrong. That's
well, it
ugly.
is. It's really stupid. So like
Yeah.
the first 2 issues came out, and then it went on hiatus because of COVID. So they're releasing all 5 issues in one large comic book issue. But it's so then just do a trade, or maybe like it's just weird that they like just do a trade or do a catch up issue, which is the first 2, and then resolicit the next 3. But like it just was very weird. They're doing just like a one big massive like
an 80-page giant,
80-page giant, like a 100-page giant kind of thing, which is like okay, like it's like doing both half-assed as opposed to just like, all right, just make it an OGN, go for it.
Interesting.
Or resolicit. Yeah, it's weird.
All right. Oh, Brian, did you have one?
No. There was a recent thing, the Sandman Dreaming thing by G. Willow Wilson that I really liked and wanted more of.
Yes.
And was very disappointed because it looks like it was going to stretch out into a long kind of thing. And it feels like there's a million things from a long time ago that I just don't remember. What is it? What do you think?
I have another one.
What is that?
Go ahead. It's Hellblazer.
Oh, the one from recently. Yeah.
The Cy Spurrier Hellblazer book, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I feel like there were a ton of them from like the 2000s and things that I really got into and then got canceled. I cannot remember a single one right now.
Fell was really good.
Except it's Warren Ellis, so fuck it.
Well, yeah, but it was 20 years ago, and it was really, really good 20 years ago, and I wish it continued.
Okay.
There was a comic. Oh, you know what? I don't think Lost Horizon ever finished. It was like kind of an Odyssey book. It was independent.
Oh, I got one. I know that Mark Miller takes like fucking 10 years off of in between arcs sometimes. But Empress with him and Stuart Immonen was so fucking good. Same with Starlight it was awesome. It was straight up awesome. Empress was freaking great. Starlight was freaking great. And they both were just one arcs with like teasers for what's next. And it's been years. Reborn was really good too. Like he was on a pretty good tear of not doing dumb, edgy shit, just like good stories. And none of them have been continued. But of course we have 80 issues of Hitman, of Hit Girl and Kick Ass. So that's cool.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the friggin' books. Flashpoint Beyond #1, DC Comics, Jeff Johns, Jeremy Adams, Tim Sheridan, with art by Germanico. Batman's hunt for the Clockwork Killer brings him to Europe and face-to-face with the Mad King, Aquaman. On the eve of Aquaman's in London, Batman infiltrates his stronghold and goes on the warpath for answers. Nothing matters to Batman, whose world is already dead, but if he can track down the Clockwork Killer, Tomas can save his son's world and put everything back together again. Unlike the King Horses and King's Men.
Yeah. Which was a riddle.
You're a riddle.
It was. They don't ever say that he's an egg. Spoiler. Humpty Dumpty is an egg.
Did we watch? Did everybody? Was I not on the show? Did everybody read the Zero issue?
Yes, we did. You were not on the show.
Okay.
You were otherwise occupied.
Yeah. What do you guys think of that? I obviously don't listen when I'm not on. This is why?
Yeah, we say a lot of shit about you.
Yeah, it's mostly
mean.
We barely review any books. It's mostly talking shit about you.
It's like a review of you and your personality.
To refresh the audience, not for my benefit, because I keep up with everything. To refresh the audience, what was everyone's impression of Flashpoint Zero? Written by Jeff Johns with art by Eduardo Risa.
I couldn't tell you everyone's, but I can tell you mine. It was fine. I don't care Flashpoint. I hated Flashpoint so much when it first happened. I just didn't care. I thought it was boring as hell. And wasn't interested to going back to Flashpoint again. But I was like, oh, shit, this is actually pretty good. And it ties into Doomsday Clock a little bit as well.
Yeah. In
the beginning. So I'm actually interested. I don't know if it's the nostalgia of Flashpoint, but so far these 2 issues I'm really enjoying.
Yeah.
What about you, Bert?
I also liked it. I was similarly surprised that it tied into Doomsday Clock, although there was not that much of that here.
No.
Whatever that's going to be is at the very end, I think. I remember you especially, JD, but also me, were a little underwhelmed at the choice of Time Master that was the kid with the raccoon
that's right.
hat.
I was also wildly underwhelmed. It was one of those like last page reveals where it was like, one, who the fuck is this? And two, why do I care?
Yeah, like I remember him from like one panel where they early Rip Hunter stories, and it's like, all right, so he's not as innocent as he looks and whatever. If they just did Rip Hunter or one of the other Time Masters would probably have been cooler. Yeah. And it's the same way at the end of this book. It's like, all right, so Batman's having a chat with this kid. But the book itself, the majority of the book, Thomas Wayne and his reality.
So we're talking about this one now. Or are we still talking about Zero?
We're talking about this one now.
This one.
Okay.
Yeah. It's cool. He's trying to find his way out of this reality that's not supposed to exist anymore. And I'm interested.
I keep forgetting about this kid until you guys just brought him up.
The Time Master. It's just what he wants, JD.
I think you know what, that's kind of how I just like I enjoyed both the Zero and this issue, but I read them, I enjoyed them. Then I think I immediately kind of forgot details and then had to flip through this before we started talking about it again. Like, oh yeah, that's right, I read that. It was like, I don't know, like slightly mindless, not in a bad way, just like, oh, this is really cool, but nothing's really sticking. Like I really like the Oswald, the penguin and the kid shooting a gun.
Yes.
I was like, this is
that's
fucked
the best
up,
part of the
cool.
That's the best part. Yeah.
I've never
Oswald
liked
Cobblepot babysitting.
Yeah, he's like, what do you want to do? I'm gonna shoot a gun. What kind?
Yeah, like, oh, what kind? I've never liked Thomas Wayne as a main character. I think he's decent as a foil, but I don't give a shit about a Batman who kills. Like, it's not really something that interests me. I don't know. It's pretty good. Like, I'll finish this series, but you know what? Feels like Flashpoint, which was like, it's pretty good. There's like stuff cool here that's happening. I mean, I'll forget it as soon as I finish it, but it's enjoyable to read.
And I'm also curious as to what the Doomsday Clock tie-in is with, with Bruce Wayne's kind of thing. Yeah, me too.
I'm more interested in the 3 pages at the end of this issue than literally the majority of the rest of this issue. So
that's just how I feel about the Flashpoint world universe itself.
Yeah, I'm interested in how they got there and how they're leaving. I don't care to stay here at all.
There's no drama to it at all. Like, oh no, Wonder Woman stabbed Aquaman. Okay, he's dead. Fine.
Yeah.
With movies,
Aquaman.
Just as with like movies as well as with comics, when there is more than 2 writers, it just always feels weird to me. Like, who's rewriting who? And because and the fact that there's 3 writers on this, like Jeff Johns, and then also Tim Sheridan, Jeremy Adams. I don't remember all of them, or it's down there at the bottom. Yeah, Jeremy Adams. It's just like, all right, so who's working from whose outline and who's correcting the other person's stuff?
I would assume Jeff Johns is the like main story guy.
Yeah, it's probably his outline, and he was like, I don't have time for this shit. Here, you guys, you want to script this? Thanks. So I don't know, like sometimes it works, sometimes, but it always makes me pause. Like, okay, like, will this feel like a stitched together piece? Will it, or like sometimes it's like maybe Jeff Johns is only doing the real time Bruce Wayne, and doesn't touch anything else, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would just be interesting to know. But when you see like multiple names at the end of credits with written by, and it's like an ampersand and an AND and a comma, and there's like 6 people's names, it's like, oof, you guys all worked over each other's work over and over again. But anyway, this was decent.
Yeah, it was all right. All right, let's move on to
Bat Block.
Oh, this is in the Bat Block. Batman Killing Time not number 1. No. Number 3.
3.
From DC Comics, written by Tom King with art by David Marquez, a shocking heist has the mysterious and deadly finger called not finger.
That wasn't a typo.
The deadly finger called the Help, fingering his way through Gotham City in search of Catwoman and the Riddler and their stolen artifact. Only the Dark Knight stand between this strange new finger and his prey. But can even Batman stop his bloody finger? Tick-tock, the clock is drawing nearer to the killing time. Love this book. This is the best issue of the run so far. Still don't need all the time things.
Oh, the timestamps.
Woo, the timestamps. I realize it's called Killing Time, but stop. I know he's not going to stop, but I wish he would stop it. I just skip over the time that time.
Yeah, it's probably smart.
I don't.
I
don't need to know that it's May 13 at 4:62.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of them.
It's definitely on clocks, which is 4:62 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm not a
61 or 60 choices.
I'm not a fan of them, but I do think that they're important to the story because they add like a weird rhythm to when he starts quick cutting between scenes. I wouldn't, JD, skip them all you like, but anyone else reading, I wouldn't suggest you skipping the timestamps. I just wouldn't. Because I think that they're important to the rhythm of the story, even though they're annoying. Yeah.
They are annoying, though. This was the first issue where I was like, all right, it's too much. The other ones were like...
Reverse.
Okay.
This is the first issue where I was not more annoyed by them because the action actually started to pace into them. Before, it was kind of like malaised 35 minutes from now, 17 minutes ago.
That's
and then
true.
500 years ago. But here... they're actually hitting with the rhythm of 45 minutes before that. This person was punching this person. 25 minutes after that, it was working better in this issue than it has before in the other two for me. So
I'm not a huge fan of jumping back and forth. I think it's unnecessary in this instance, in this series. I don't need to know that the Batmobile crashed and then we went to them stealing the Batmobile after they've already crashed the Batmobile. I got it. You stole the Batmobile. That's how you got the Batmobile. Yeah. It's just there's a lot of Quentin Tarantinoing, but it doesn't really feel necessary. I feel like part of me wanted to go through and reorganize all of the scenes in chronological order because I don't think it would affect too much.
You just completely hit on it. It is not necessary. It's a flourish. And this is the first issue out of 3 where it became less novel and actually worked like a flourish for me. So this was my favorite issue because it did work with the car chase and then the fist fight and then sending the killer to the fist fight and then back to the car chase. The timestamps worked, especially when we went to a flashback of Bruce's with the timestamps as opposed to 1,000 years ago.
Something like that.
Yeah. Like the timestamps are starting to circle in on themselves a little bit better, and they made this a little bit more exciting as opposed to dreary or drudge. I don't know. Tom King likes his narrative devices. The fucking letters that people would read to themselves or poems that people will read to themselves over action, and it's like, I get it. You're well read. That's great.
Yeah, after a while, it starts to feel like I used to be a big Chuck Palahniuk fan, and the more and more of his books I read, the more and more frustrated I got because so many of his things are flourishes, and at one point I was like, if I just went through with a Sharpie and Sharpied out every repetitive sentence that he just repeats over and over again, I'd have half of this book would be gone. So it just those things like that, they become crutches and they feel a little frustrating for me as a reader. My favorite thing isn't because of this isn't my favorite issue because of the flourishes are working. It's the scenes that I'm reading I think are really interesting and fun. Like Batman versus the Help. Batman getting his clock cleaned by the Help was awesome. I love that scene. I don't know this guy. I like this guy. And we were just complaining during James Tynan's run on Batman, how many more times we're going to meet someone who Batman either met on the road to becoming Batman or has gone through all the same training as Batman's gone through, etc. And then here, this guy is just like seeing a move that Batman makes and goes, "Oh yes, this is from Ducard. Oh, this is from blank. This is from Ra's al Ghul," and he still has he asses his hands to him.
He does, right to him.
Yeah, like he makes a bunch of subtle references to the fact that he's ancient and knows everything, and it's like,
yeah.
I did still feel that way, actually. I felt about the same as when we were reading the James Tynion stuff. I was like, oh, another character who is intimately aware of all of his training stuff. But at the same time, like, comics are always all right introducing a new one of those characters because they get forgotten after a while. And, a new one gets introduced. And
can I tell you the fine line about the difference between somebody like this and then like the characters that they kept creating in Tynion's run? Like the Grand Master or like the planner guy that ended up being
the Master Planner.
Planner.
No, that's Spider-Man.
The great designer, or the designer. It was the designer. He had
It's the designer. Yeah.
So the difference between somebody like this and the designer is this guy has just been around forever and knew all the things that Batman knows before. Agnostic of Batman even existing. He gives two shits.
Yeah.
The other ones were just like, well, I'm going to outsmart the outsmarter who outsmarts the outsmart. Like it's like a direct response to Batman, and it's just one-upping each other, whereas this is like, I don't care about you. I've known all this already.
Yeah.
Do you want to learn other things?
I also think his name is like, meh.
The help?
But, like, all right, that's it's one of those things that's like trying to be real cool by being so unassuming.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
didn't assume. My other problem, well, I thought this was more of the same. As the first two, except that the timestamp stuff really bogged me down more so, I think, is why I felt myself a little bored through the story, although the art is fantastic.
Man.
Yeah. There are a couple I have on my pages open to Batman stealing this motorcycle and leaving an envelope full of $95,000 on the side of the road.
Just in the parking lot.
I'm sure it'll get to the right guy.
Yeah, this will definitely not either blow. And the envelope is open.
Right.
The envelope is open. Cash. You can see the money inside, and it's just laying on the ground. I had the exact same thought. I'm like, that's either blowing away or somebody else is going to find it, and then the motorcycle owner will still come out and be like, "Where the fuck's my bike?"
Right.
That is also that. That envelope does not represent what $97,000 would look like.
Right.
97
$1,000 bills.
I would have preferred it if, all-knowing Bruce Wayne was just, he got the VIN number from the bicycle he stole or the bike he stole and then sent the guy money.
Deposited a bunch of money. Yeah. That would have made more sense.
The what looks like an envelope of coupons and telling me it's $97,000. Is it in bearer bonds?
What he left in the envelope was a $97,000 note, and then $438 in ones.
That makes sense.
No, it's a check for $97,437 and five $1 bills.
You got to put a little flourish into it.
Yeah. It's just it
looks cool.
And then he wrote it out to cash, which is just not smart.
Whoever is fine.
Yeah.
Now I also don't. When they bring in Zeus and Odin and that kind of thing, I always enjoy that because those are mythology. There's no real debate. There's no contest over whether or not those people exist. There's not a lot of modern issues that revolve around whether or not Zeus is as the mythologies claim him to be. This, they have the eye of Jesus, and they refer to it as the eye of God. And whenever they do that kind of thing, I'm not into it. Right.
It's a little assumptive, a little presumptuous, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like, I don't know that's just some guy's eye, maybe.
Do we actually think that it's like Jesus's eyeball? I figured that was
a possibility
or a metaphor for some sort of priceless artifact or jewel or something.
Also was happening in ancient Greece. which
Yeah.
may predate Jesus, and so maybe they just call it
Yeah.
that, right? And that's probably what it will turn out to be. But it has definitely happened in comics before, like when they rebooted the Phantom Stranger for the New 52, he was Judas. And I was like, well, that really assumes the truth of that belief system in a major way. And even when they do Judeo-Christian stuff, but they kind of do it a little more vague, like it's angels or whatever. Like, you could read that as borderline. I'm totally down with it. And I even enjoy stories about, I mean, Lucifer is one of my favorites, but that's not, certainly doesn't hew to the biblical version of Lucifer.
No.
Yeah, it's a fine line. I love that kind of mythology. And so it's odd not to just treat it as mythology, but I think just because of all the stuff in the real world, the way that people react about it, not usually a fan when they assume the truth of that.
Yeah, I understand. I get that.
Yeah.
Hey,
What is
if
it?
you love Jesus, you can go on patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo and give us money. If you don't love Jesus, you can also go to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. If you have no belief system whatsoever, believe that you can go to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo and give us money.
Now, if they give you money, does that mean they love you more than Jesus? Is that what you're claiming, JD? Is that
whatever works with your belief system is the way that you should
then give
that.
JD the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The answer is always help the show out. If you can't afford,
no matter which branch of the tree that you walk down, it all leads to donating a denomination.
That's his greatest
and or liking and commenting and subscribing to any of the various channels in which we social media.
Like if they don't have the money or can't spare the money to do it.
It's like it's one of those choose your own adventure books, except at the end of every page, that option takes you to the end of the book, which is go to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo and help out the show.
That's a lot of pages to get to the one spot, but you spent the time to write it, so these people can read it.
It's the journey, not
exactly.
The one page journey that is involved.
It's
But also, if you can't do that, if you didn't get a copy of the book, you can just subscribe.
I know that we don't have a scheduled Thunder Round, but I did just finish something before the
Thunder Round. There it is.
So it doesn't even have to be a minute. I just want to let everyone know I am still reading Firepower by Robert Kirkman and Chris Samnee in Issues. If you've ever wanted to read a book that just continuously yes-ands itself, to the point where the escalation is just kind of ridiculous, do it, because this book is so fucking cool. Like, it started as like a kung fu / Iron Fist kind of pastiche, and then it turned into an Incredibles kind of pastiche with a family of superheroes ish.
Do they get involved?
And then it turned it turned into like warring clans that are with like flying ships and throwing fire at each other. And now it's just become a fucking kaiju book. Guys, this book just keeps going further and further, and it's awesome. And Chris Samnee's art is spectacular. I can't recommend it enough. It's just such a fun, like, as of right now, this only works in comic books. This is like a book that's like, you know, it's perfect for the medium. But if they ever did adapt it, I have no idea how, because the book just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Man,
it's really fun.
Every time an issue of Firepower comes out to my shop, I go, oh man, I got to catch up on Firepower.
Yeah.
I've read
first 2,
5 issues. I think I've read the first 5 issues. Maybe 6.
I think the first 12 and change. So it's got a weird schedule. Yes, Firepower is still good. Read it, Kevin. Get back on that Firepower horse. So they went on hiatus for like 3 months. So it was an OGN, which was like an extended first issue, and then it started with a new number 1. No. There was a free comic book day issue, which was different than the actual number 1 issue.
Yeah,
that's right.
And then it's just been numbered since. And then at about 18 or at 12, they took a break for like 2 months, and then at 18, they took a break for like 3 months, and now they're back with 19 and 20. and the first 12 plus the OGN are about to be recollected in a big old hardcover. So a very easy way for everyone to catch up. It is such a fun book, and the art is just beautiful.
Dadams likes a hardcover.
Highly recommend. Firepower.
I'll get that.
2 words.
Um,
Firepower.
Could I take this comics interlude? Oh, Mars Comics, of course. Yes.
Did you call people horse?
I think you said get back on the horse.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jump back on the horse. Horse.
Old age. Yeah. Just when you fall off a whore, just get back
right
up.
Back on
it's like riding a whore is what the right?
Exactly.
It's as easy as
you never forget how.
Yeah, you never forget how to ride.
You'll never forget your first horse. I mean, whore. God.
So can I take this comics interlude to mention something that this Batman issue reminded me of, but isn't specifically about that? Ra's al Ghul, is him having trained Bruce Wayne part of Bruce Wayne's backstory rather than the way that they met in the comics? Have you guys seen that anywhere else? Or is this...
Was this training? Or was it just like year 2, he sees them, like he is also instructed in the ways of Ra's al Ghul? Or was this supposed to be 18-year-old Bruce?
I think it was during before he was Batman time. That was my understanding.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's the way I took it too. And I thought, he trained with Ra's?
Right.
Okay.
Because that's Christopher Nolan, Ra's al Ghul, but in the comics, he met way into Batman's career. In fact, he's notably one of the only successful, like him and Venom, some of the only successful villains in comics to be introduced so long after. And you think he's a good guy at first. He's like... Yeah. I always wondered also, what does he want with an heir? His whole thing is that he's immortal. Why is he after Bruce Wayne to be his heir constantly?
Well, eventually he wants to rest, right? I guess he's kind of tired of being immortal.
Or he'll still be immortal, but he'll just relax, and Bruce Wayne will take care of the day-to-day stuff.
He's like, listen, I have spent all of this time...
regional manager. Yeah,
exactly.
He's gonna keep dipping himself into the what are they called?
The Lazarus Pit?
The Lazarus Pits, just so he can catch up on all of the Netflix he's missed.
Yeah, he's sacrificed a lot postponing that stuff.
You only need like a week or 2 for that, though, at a time. So, like, maybe just like a toe or a foot.
Yeah.
So he can catch up on Ozark.
Ooh! Oh! I finished Ozark. That show is... I listened to the what's the show that I like? That used to be called the Slash Film. It's just called the Filmcast. And Jim Canada loves this show, but Dave Chen hates it. He hates this show, and I do not understand why. I love Ozark. I am so glad. I was afraid it wasn't going to come back after COVID. I'd heard it got canceled and wasn't returning, and I was really sad about it. This is like Breaking Bad level good TV show. If you like Breaking Bad, that is. I love Breaking Bad. And Ozark is so good. I love that show. And they finally just wrapped up this season last week, I guess. The series is done. It's 4 seasons. It is awesome. Love it. It's got who's it got in it? Laura Linney,
Jason Bateman,
and Jason Bateman. Yeah,
who's also directed the pilot and the finale and several of the other episodes.
Yeah.
It's an episode of Family Matters, I learned this weekend. Jason Bateman did an episode of Family Matters.
Oh.
Everyone told me that I should, because I had COVID. I still have COVID. I don't know how to use past tense. That I should catch up on X shows. And every single suggestion was either a reality show I'll never watch or something that's so fucking tense that I won't be able to relax. So I did not watch Ozark. I started and finished Reacher, which was so fucking stupid. It was perfect. Like, it was an 8-hour 1989 action movie. Like, guy walks in, does the right thing, and just beats up bullies for 8 episodes. I was like, this is stupid. This is fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the memories come up on Facebook. And from a year ago was Ozark has me so stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. But anyway, it's very good. When you're ready to be tense, watch it. All right, comic books. Let's do it. Star Wars Obi Wan #1 from Marvel Comics, written by Christopher Cantwell and Ario Anandito. Fast approaches the ultimate destiny of one of the Jedi's most renowned masters. As he spends his final days in the remote deserts of Tatooine, Obi-Wan Kenobi takes time to reflect on and record key moments of a heroic life long lived. Writing in old leather-bound journals from his hermit's hut, Obi-Wan remembers his days as a young Jedi initiate, his trials as a Padawan, the crucible of Jedi knighthood and the Clone Wars, and some of the earliest challenges he faced as a true master of the Force. In this tale, Obi-Wan considers a watershed youngling adventure he narrowly survived on Coruscant when he was but 8 years of age. This is just the beginning of his Jedi journey. So the reason I wanted to read this is I like Star Wars. Another reason is I like Christopher Cantwell, who has done one of my other favorite TV shows, which is *Halt and Catch Fire*. And he's been writing comics for several years now. And so he's dipping his toe into the Star Wars. What did you think, Noel?
I thought this was delightful. I did not know that it was going to be an anthology series. The framework of this series was surprising to me. Like, it's presumably old Obi-Wan, I don't know, a couple days before A New Hope happens.
Yeah.
And he's battening down for a sandstorm and just starts going through and or recollecting, adventures in journals. And this is the first time we've ever seen Obi-Wan as a young Padawan, like young Padawan, like 8 or no, more like 10 and 11, 12. And I was like, in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of hours and pages of Star Wars that's been written and shown and created, have we ever seen a child Obi-Wan?
Nope. The earliest I have read was Master and Apprentice, and that was Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
So like a teenager, at least, right?
Right before Episode 1.
Yeah, this was interesting, and then it looks like the next issue is going to be maybe that age range. So, and then I started thinking like, oh, is this going to be like every life phase that we have seen? So like, it's 5 issues, like this, a baby Padawan, and then a young knight, and then I don't know, a Clone Wars general, and then an old man, and like this could be really cool. And I thought that this was a pretty strong issue. The story itself was pretty slight, like it's structured like a young boy learning a lesson.
Yeah.
There's no stakes in so much as like a larger arc, but it was just such a breezy kind of fun read, and I was just kind of surprised. I'd never wanted or expected a young Obi-Wan story. But kind of dig that it's here. Yeah, I was like, oh,
same.
Cool.
Yeah, and it introduces a character I don't know of, Garen, Gehren, Garen, and he says, I have not seen her since then. And I was like, oh, you're about to meet her probably, I assume.
Yeah, like in issue 4, at the end of issue 4, in the storm, you'll see Garen or something like, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Or she's part of this Black Sun Syndicate, and he actually has run into her, but didn't know that it was her. Like she's disguised, something like that.
So many cool little nuggets. It felt like a good little story. I liked it.
Yeah. What'd you think, Brian?
It didn't offend me. It was.
That's good. It's about time we found one that didn't offend you.
Yeah. There was nothing addressed to me personally in it, so that's nice.
Nothing about Jesus.
Nothing. How would they even? How would they
know to donate you?
It was probably before that, right?
I do love the thing where people will take a picture of Obi-Wan, young Ewan McGregor from like episode 2, and they'll put it up in their grandmother's house. It's a portrait of Jesus.
Yes,
I always love that.
Yeah. Jesus has gotten whiter and blonder over the 2,000 years.
That is that is Obi-Wan's worst look too. the fake long beard and the weird whisked back shoulder length hair. Like episode 2 Obi Wan.
Really, you like that less than the buzz cut with the
long
by
braid?
miles. I like it
Really?
less by miles. Yeah, it's either you're either gonna go buzz cut with a braid tail or close crop with a bitchin' goatee beard. None of this like half Jesus bullshit in the middle.
Half Jesus.
Nah, man. Ugh. He's looking
like,
good.
You can see the light through his fake beard too. I've always hated that look. Always hated
it's
it.
the light shining from within Obi-Wan.
Fuck that. So many things about Attack of the Clones is egregious, and that beard is one of them.
I can't wait to see how they explain Obi-Wan's aging in the TV show.
Well, it's been a certain amount of time, right?
Not that long.
Well,
how long has it been between episode 3 and episode
20.
4? 20 years.
Almost 20 years. Yeah. So 20 years in real time. That's fine. What's really kind of weird is maybe the 15 years between now and when A New Hope happens. So like, how do you get from like 50-year-old, still grizzled, cool looking Ewan McGregor to
exactly
old as dirt?
Maybe he's been using his Force powers strenuously to like shield Luke or something, and that's why.
So he was.
I hope they explain.
He's been aged 20 years faster. Actually, I hope that they just don't bother.
Yeah, I would be fine with that.
like just put
it's like he looks different because they're different guys.
We're good. Yeah.
Don't
bother. Or it's gonna be like superhero comics where like they just age on a weird sliding scale and we just don't really talk about it. Like he's just gonna keep going until he goes. That's fine. Yeah.
Oh, Mars Comics has a really good point here. Says all that sun, no sunscreen will age you quickly, and points out that there are 2 suns.
That's right.
Here.
She corrects herself. Suns.
Yeah.
Which you can see on the screen.
You can.
Now,
Darth Vader was not in this story, although he did feature heavily on the cover. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh,
he used the Force, or the Jedi mind trick thing for the first time. That was cool. I also like that they say I never saw her again, and I think it would be a cooler story thing if she actually is not part of this story ever again.
Yeah, because that happens all the time.
Right, well, and that's that's part of the thing that he learned or whatever, is that she came into his life and she left, and he never found out what happened to her.
I mean, as long as they never don't break the rules of your own story. So as long as they don't make him a liar, and if he does run into her again, it happens after writing that. Then that'd be okay. But it's not like she was a different person. Or like it's really he comes across a bounty hunter 20 years later and the Garen I knew is gone. I never saw her again, but this other person.
Right. Well, he does have a habit of shit. He does have a habit of saying shit like that. Vader killed your father, Luke. Oh, what I mean is
you're right. Like what I really meant was he killed the person I knew, but he's still there.
In a much more real sense, he did not kill your father.
Yeah, Obi-Wan's a fucking liar. Also, his big plan to go into hiding is to go change his name from Obi-Wan to Kenobi.
And Kenobi, right.
Yeah.
It's a big universe.
Yeah, who knows how common that name
on
is.
the same planet that Luke is, who is still named Skywalker, even though we're hiding him from his daddy, Skywalker.
It's in his house.
Nonsense.
It's a good point.
All right. So that happened. Twig #1, Image Comics, Scotty Young and Kyle Strom. It's the first day of Twig's new job as a journeyer on a Jeff Smith's Bone-esque quest to save the Dark Crystal / Labyrinth-style world. What? Join our hesitant hero for an inspiring and imaginative tale of hope, heartache, and determination to overcome insurmountable odds. Listen, what we mean is imaginative tale by way of Jeff Smith's Bone and also the Dark Crystal, but also the Labyrinth.
Yeah.
But it's very imaginative.
It's
It's
a
just
word
these
salad
things.
of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like, hey, all these
Jeez.
things. They didn't put in Fraggle Rock. They didn't throw in.
Yeah.
And it's its
I don't
own
know.
thing, right? Like that is
It
not
is.
the story is not like, oh man, he grabbed from these three things pretty heavily. You know?
Yeah.
I think
It's not
tonally
like the
it feels-
Joker movie.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, don't bother.
Here we go.
Okay,
Twig,
I have.
yeah.
I shan't. I think.
Oh, you said you didn't see Joker?
No, I never got around to it, and I wasn't
Nah, I
like
mean,
got to get to it. You know,
if you've seen Falling Down and
I have not.
King of
Taxi
Comedy,
Driver, King of
Taxi
Comedy.
Driver, and
I
Fight
haven't
Club,
seen it.
then
I saw
you
that
don't need
last
to.
one, and it's one of my favorite movies. The other three I haven't seen.
Fight Club.
Yeah, Fight Club. Yeah, I don't know
I mean,
that
I
I
guess-
often list it
I
as
guess
one of
as
my favorite
Anarchy?
movies.
I'm trying to connect that to Joker. I guess maybe like
Oh, I thought you were wondering why it was one of my favorite movies.
Well, it's a
Anarchy?
spoiler.
No, I love it.
Like, well, he likes Anarchy.
Is it?
Brian is a big Anarchy fan.
There's a character who's not there.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I mean,
didn't make
all right,
much of an
yeah.
impact on Noel.
No,
That twist. Yeah.
no.
All right, Twig. This was adorable.
Oh, it was
I
great.
thought. I mean, I don't
Yes.
care about it. But it was cute to read, and the art by Kyle Strom, who you may know from Spread, which is basically a John Carpenter's The Thing meets Lone Wolf and Cub. He drew that as well, and that's like a post-apocalyptic horror story. Very different style than this. With coloring by Jean-Francois Bellou. And the art, the pencils and the colors on this are just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Very nice looking book. I don't care other than
No.
that.
No.
But it was a delightful read. What did you think, Brian?
I thought it was great. I agreed with everything you said. The pencils and the colors and all of that were phenomenal. I additionally liked the designs of the different entities that we're talking to, the main character and his friend, but also this mountain that they go into, the designs from a fantasy perspective, like a cool world building type of designs. And also the world building in general, I thought was really good. They set up this realm, don't really tell you that much about it, but I think give you a really deep sense of what it is as you go through it. And yeah, I think I would like to continue reading it, as a matter of fact. If I had a comic shop at 4327 Main Street in Manayunk, Pennsylvania, maybe would make that happen. Secure those for me.
List?
Yeah.
I would put this on my pull list too, but only if it's. I think it's as long as it's just a mini series. I don't know if I could sustain this for a long time. Like I think I agree with both of you, or just kind of fall down the middle. Like I like that they drop you in. The world building is just top tier, A+. The design of everything's alive and has a face. Which is I'll look at it, like I'll compare it to like something like the Dark Crystal and
maybe Labyrinth.
In so much as
Labyrinth.
It's both of them in like thematically, in so much as 2 degrees to the left it's fucking nightmarish, and 2 degrees to the right it's adorable.
Yes.
And it just skirts that line really, really, really well and stays adorable. But at any moment, if just the lighting changes, the fact that the trees have faces and the rocks are talking to you, it becomes a fucking nightmare. So like I love that kind of balance with this book. Read it, everyone's talking gibberish. I have no idea what the actual stakes are, other than get rock from point A to point B.
Sure.
Which is fine for now. But it drops you in, and it's okay. But if I'm 3 issues into this and I still don't really understand the mechanics and or the stakes of the world, and it's still just cute, then I'll probably feel a little bit differently about it. Like I think I needed a little bit doesn't more. Give you anything. Yeah.
I need a little bit more gravitas. As someone who has been watching Moana on repeat because his son only wants to watch Moana and Encanto, this is the heart of Tafiti. This red stone in Moana is green, and it is the exact same stone, and that's the heart of Tafiti. Which I thought I was like, oh, look at that. I know that rock. So
You're welcome.
it's Moana she has to get this heart of Tafiti rock somewhere. And
Did
it
she
seems
do
to be the thing here. So
You should see Moana.
I should.
good.
From what I've heard, it's very
Moana's-
good.
listen, I've watched it probably 30 to 40 times now because my son, we have it on repeat all day. It's either Moana and Encanto.
Mhm.
Both of those movies, we just had it on for dinner. We had Encanto on for dinner. And I was still watching it.
Still into
I
it?
was still
Yeah.
I was eating my food and still delighted. Encanto and Moana are my two favorite Pixar / Disney films right now. So they're really good.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm not going to read this. Listen, I just said I was far behind on Firepower, and I am way more interested in finishing or catching up on Firepower than I am on reading more of Twig. That's all.
That's
not to say that Twig is bad.
I enjoy like something like Wind. I enjoyed a lot by Tinian. But after 5 or 6 issues, that first chunk, they still were only just starting their adventure, and I was like, all right, this is a good point to dip out. I don't care anymore. And I feel like this book is it potentially has that same trajectory where I'm gonna invest 4 or 5 issues, and if it really doesn't go anywhere yet, then I'll just dip out. It's fine. I wanted something more, but there's enough in here to really like intrigue that I'm willing to give it a couple more issues.
A lot of
it's beautiful.
Like the individual stuff like that we're looking at right now as he's going through every panel is a different realm on his travels. They're all just cool pieces of art individually that are like these cool fantasy realm, very imaginative kind of things. And I could probably go through a few issues just seeing it, seeing him wander this world that he lives in. I
don't disagree with you. Like an art book, a beautiful art book is a beautiful art book, but something like Step by Bloody Step, we didn't talk about the 3rd issue.
Yeah,
really cool for 2 issues. By the 3rd issue, what the fuck is going on?
This
is beautiful, but come on, enough already.
Yeah.
Give me something to chew on, right? And this could, worst case scenario, kind of go in the same way where it's like, I get it. It's cute. It's beautiful. That's fine. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. This one gives you a little bit more, right? Step by Bloody Step.
Absolutely.
Even. I was like, all right, what are you doing, man? Like this stuff looks
Which
cool.
one is Step by Bloody Step? I don't remember.
That's the mostly silent. It's silent, but they speak in like.
Oh, right. I haven't. Oh, right. The one that I'm holding on to for Mars Comics.
Didn't this come up last week,
right.
Mars Comics? What's this?
Yes, it did.
Anyway, say to you, Mars Comics.
All right. Listen, Spider-Man 2099 Exodus.
Yes.
#1 or Alpha. Written by Steve Orlando with art by Paul Fry. Miguel O'Hara is back after fighting battles across the time stream. Miguel O'Hara is at last back.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. You just said that. Defending his present and our future for Spider-Man 2099. The only thing constant about life in Nueva York is that Miguel O'Hara is back. So when a cataclysmic crash creates a new Garden of Eden in what was once the American wastelands, Miguel O'Hara comes back, and he knows exactly what the next atrocity will be. Watch the Cabal plot to set society ablaze, and you'll never guess that Miguel O'Hara is back.
I wouldn't have guessed.
I have no idea what was happening in this book. I have tried so many times to care about Spider-Man 2099.
Have you not in the past? Really? Even like the very first Spider-Man 2099
No.
stuff, you weren't? Really?
I was so excited about that, and I hated Rick Leonardi's art at the time. I hated the costume because what the hell does that have to do with anything spider-related?
It's
got a skull. It's got nothing spider-related on his costume.
It is kind of also a spider, but it is also a skull. Which is weird.
There's just, and I didn't care about shock this and shock that, and I care about the trappings of the 2099 era. Edgy.
Yeah, his costume's edgy. I was
His
being
costume
funny.
is edgy. I thought you were saying I was edgy for not liking Spider-Man 2099. So every time it comes up, I'm like, oh, cool. Maybe this will be the time I care about. And I don't care.
No.
And I had no idea what was happening during most of this book. And I didn't care. That being said, the art was very nice by Paul Fry. I thought it was a good looking book. I think the last time I read a 2099 book, it had an artist that I really don't like working on it. And that made it even worse. Will Sliney, I think, was drawing it. Didn't like it. But this is a good looking book. I just don't care. I don't know who the Cabal are.
They're the ones that pull the strings, JD.
Oh, yeah?
That's what they said in the... Yeah, I don't remember if they were around. I don't think that they are an older 2099 thing. Before it was usually like Alchemax or the various mega corporations, that kind of thing. And I don't think we used to know what happened to the Avengers, but here they seem to be pretty sure that it was the Cabal that happened to the Avengers.
Right.
So,
yeah, there's like a big kaboomy.
There was a Braccoon. Yeah,
a Braccoon. There was a big Braccoon.
Yeah.
I got a costume question.
Okay.
Is his tattered web cape functional?
Yes, it is very functional.
It has holes in it. What does it function as?
Well, among other things, the fashion element is obvious, but it's like a glider kind of thing. It's future
with
stuff,
holes in it.
It's future stuff, JD. They can deal with
At
holes.
no
Don't
point,
worry about it.
At no point, it's always just flapping in the breeze. At no point is it like glider shaped. It's just
this is the
a
first
cape.
All the times that I've attempted to read Spider-Man 2099, this is the first time I kind of clicked. I was like, that really is just purely fucking aesthetic, isn't it? Like, look at it, like right there. It's falling apart.
I mean, yeah, it's seen better days, but
so it's just a cape. There's no functional purpose for it.
No, it has. However, the art is drawn here, like he has glided on it, but not extensively. Okay. I think it sometimes just like more breaks his fall or that kind of like from one building to another kind of thing. I think because it wasn't originally part of it. It was a Halloween costume that he was wearing when he discovered that he had those powers. And like so many things are made out of unstable molecules in the future that this costume just was already made out of unstable molecules. And then, which explains why there's a skull on the front. It doesn't explain why he didn't change it to look a little more spidery after that day.
Right.
But I like the costume. But what's that?
I was just it looks like a costume that it would just be a Halloween costume that a character would have in the first issue of his book, and develop further get a different costume.
I mean, I think just this costume, if the skull part, it's already pretty spider looking. If you just change the top part, it could be a big spider over him. And I like the costume in general. I like the eye mask area. And I think it was without the webbing when it was the Halloween costume. And then he's like, I'm going to use this other fabric that I have to make this webbing that'll let me glide around sometimes. Yeah, I think that's the deal.
I read this.
Cool.
I don't know.
Step one.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I did it. But I struggled to comprehend what the fuck was going on.
Thank you.
In so much as I'm okay being dropped into a story, but am I supposed to understand the references you're making, or are you making references for me to learn later?
Right.
And it never decided what it wanted to do, and it was annoying more than anything else.
Which I also wonder, as a writer, how they accomplish, like, you aren't supposed to know this yet. Even though this is an ongoing kind of universe, you should feel comfortable not knowing this, you know?
It's subjective, but I presume you just do it like you're not trying to explain something. You just do it, right? Yeah. Like, how would this person in real time talk about something? And then it's intriguing, not half exposition, half not. Like when you just do things in half measures, they usually don't really work. what I think was the conclusion of this with the Celestial and the God Quarry and all that cool stuff. That's a cool idea, and I thought that was really dope. But
The whale
getting there
fall
was
thing.
getting there
Yeah.
was like a weird struggle, and then I got to the end, and I'm like, wait, what about the Green Goblin? Where was that introduced? Was a dude that melted relate? Like, what the fuck is going on?
I think that was
And-
the first that we saw of anything
But
about
the way
Green
that they
Goblin.
were talking when they were describing it, it was like, Miguel, it's this, it's that. I'm like, what are you
What
doing?
is that, JD?
What
Is that a nerds thing? Is
It's
that
an
an
M&M.
M&M?
It's one M.
You're interrupting a very important conversation I'm having about Spider-Man 2099 Exodus Alpha
Oh, yeah?
number 1.
Oh, my bad.
Which wins best title of the week.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There was just so much going on, and I didn't know what was my fault or the story's fault. To the
Well,
point where
I
was
think
just
more
like,
of
what
it
the
may
fuck?
have
I don't care.
been. Oh, JD, yes.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. So Noel, a minute ago, like the things happening in this book were very cool. There's like a celestial, a god quarry, or something. What happened?
Oh wait, okay. So not so much what happened there. Him getting to there, and then what happened after that is still really fuzzy for me. So he found he shook down a dude that's part of this cabal thing. Cool.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mhm.
But then shaking down that dude, he found out about one spot that the cabal is not monitoring. Goes to that one spot. They're not monitoring it because I guess Ghost Rider 2099, who is a program, had like a Godspire thing that stopped
What's
their
a
signals.
Godspire?
I don't know. Just go
the
with it.
thing
Just let me
that
finish.
stops
I don't know.
the
Just let me keep
monitor.
going. I'm gonna lose it. Hold on.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
So he's like, I hate this guy, but he's not a real guy. But this not real guy is gonna put me in the machine to learn what's happening outside of this space where they're not getting information because there was a big explosion when he was on that satellite for 2 minutes that he got to after shaking down the cabal guy. I don't understand how, but whatever. He's inside of the machine. The machine or the program kills Ghost Rider, who's a code. I don't know, whatever. With a cave troll who's fake, and he fights the cave troll. While he's fighting the cave troll, he learns that thing that blew up and fell to Earth was actually a celestial that the Cabal explicitly kind of shot because, like, it shot a celestial in the chest with something for it to fall to Earth so they can mine it of its resources. So they kill a celestial and or bring it to Earth explicitly to mine it. So the idea is we need to get to this before the Cabal does and stuff. But that happens inside of the code, and then he gets out of the code and breaks the God Spire. So now the Cabal can see you, and they send all their goons, and then they get away. But then all the people that were hiding there were like, "Fuck you, Spider-Man." And he's like, I'll fix it. But then you don't understand how because they use a bunch of words that don't mean anything.
He's going to take him to another safe zone.
Yeah, but like they just say, I guess, is it an established safe zone or it's just like, do this for us? And he's like, okay.
Well, no, I don't think so. See, the fact that the solicit says like he's back from his time travel adventures and here he is makes it seem oddly like this does follow from some other thing, but I took it having read the solicit. What do you got?
One more thing. I didn't read the solicit either. One more thing.
Yeah.
So he agrees to help these people. Cut scene. You don't know anything after that, and then he's talking with his Cortana, who I don't remember her name.
Lila.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's these melting guys, which is kind of cool. Lila and him are talking. I don't understand the conversation they're having. But then they are cutting the conversation with dude in green tub pouring blood in it and standing up as Green Goblin. So they're making connection between the conversation they're having and the Green Goblin. But I'm like, was that a connection to the Cabal before? And that's what they're revealing. And I don't fucking know that.
Yeah, I think Norman Osborn runs the Cabal.
Okay. I was
and,
like, okay.
the cave troll that he fought earlier wasn't a cave troll. It was Green
It was
Goblin.
a Green Goblin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
Aren't
a
Celestials bigger than Earth?
Yes.
Not.
No, they're not bigger than
no,
Earth.
no.
They're like they
That's the
can stand
MCU
upon
thing.
the Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an MCU thing because for a while there was actually a Celestial standing in the middle of Central Park.
That was a cool era in.
Yeah.
That was a cool thing that Marvel Comics had going on there.
And there's one. It's the size of a mountain. Literally, the Avengers right now, their mansion.
Oh, that's
is
right.
a
That's
mountain,
right.
which is a
You know, I'm
Celestial.
looking at the page here, and there seems to be an Earth that is about the size of its hip bone. I guess it's in the background.
It's
far away.
yeah. They're showing you forced perspective, so you could really understand the size of an object.
Like it's
Which is not
falling
how it
down
works.
to Earth. Like they're
From
they
a
caused it
million
to fall
miles
down.
away. Yeah.
No, same.
Things in space in comics are way closer than they are here.
But it is kind of funny when you're like, oh, when you want to show the size of something, you put it in forced perspective of something you can perceive.
Planet, yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
I didn't care about this at all.
I cared about it in the sense that I was like, I always like to return to Spider-Man 2099, and I like the future that 2099 has set up. None of that was new to this book. It was a lot of mishmash kind of stuff happening here. Ghost Rider, he is certainly not one of the more notable 2099 characters. A little background on what his deal was. I mean, I feel like I picked it up quickly enough, but he is a code inhabiting computers, and that's why he's the Ghost Rider. I vaguely remember that from the 90s or 2000s, maybe. It sounds kind of familiar, but they could have told you a little bit about who this Ghost Rider is.
The O and S are actually a 0 and a 5 in Ghost Rider because it's all code.
The 05 Rider.
That's it.
And it's like, why would there not be an actual Ghost Rider in the year 2099? It's a generational thing,
right? And it's been going since 1 million BC or whatever that is.
But now it's like,
possible that this is
it's the future, so it's a program.
Right.
They took it all online, bro.
Maybe this is that spirit just expressed through programs.
They hacked the planet.
Yeah,
Shut
the
up.
whole planet. What movie is
Great
that?
soundtrack for hackers.
Hackers. This was great for someone other than me. Somebody that enjoys all of the 2099 stuff. I remember getting all the original issues and like, this is so cool, and not lasting 2 issues for any of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh man.
The only one that I've been interested in potentially going back and reading is Doom, because I heard that was just fucking awesome, and you learn that Doom 2099 is actually Doom.
It's definitely a possibility. Like, I don't know if they ever fully spell it out, but by the end of it, I as I recall, it's like, that's probably
literally the only one that I've ever been interested in going back and reading.
It's very different
Warren Ellis.
from the other ones. From what
Is it
I
Warren Ellis?
recall.
Huh?
Yeah, I loved the whole 2099 thing at the time.
Oh, do you love it now? Do you love it still?
I still love it, dude. I love this issue. Not that much. I don't know how many times the 2099 stuff has been revisited that I really have been like super into. Certainly very few that have caught my attention the way the original one did. There was one where Miguel O'Hara meets Peter Parker, and then eventually there's like a third Spider-Man from even further in the future that shows up.
I think
that
that's
was pretty cool.
Dan Slott's stuff.
Before I think it was Peter David, actually. It was like a 3-issue Prestige thing back from when they were still doing Prestige
Peter
comics.
David.
Wasn't
Peter David the writer from Jump?
He might have been, yeah.
There's an omnibus coming out.
And I think every
like
Peter David thing, I can't think of a Peter David thing I've read that I wasn't into. They may exist, but nothing springs to mind.
You know what I'm excited about? Speaking of PD, they're revisiting Marvel. Remember the dude who went nuts?
Yeah. I have
he's coming back.
Genisville.
Genisville, that's what it is.
I have this one shot right here that I purchased at 4327 Main Street.
Nice.
JD's Hero Complex. Yes. And but I don't know. I actually haven't opened it, and I don't know if it's looking at it now. It looks like it's a reprint of other. Yes, it is Captain Marvel 0 through 3. Maybe this is preparatory for a new thing.
So I actually started reading Peter David's Hulk run, and didn't care for it.
Really? Oh.
I didn't care. Yeah, I kind of lost steam, and I didn't. It's been heralded as the most important fucking thing in the world for forever, and I mean,
there's a lot of it too.
I know all the I know all the
so
larger
much.
beats, so it's like I almost appreciate it more than I ever want to really read it. There's a lot of things like that where I don't know. I just don't enjoy a lot of older comics, even though I appreciate them. Like,
I mean, I get like classic Silver Age style comics when I get them, mostly for the covers and because it's cool to look at the fact that it exists.
I could not get through
nowadays
Claremont's X-Men. I just couldn't.
Yeah,
like it's so overwritten and so boring.
I didn't really care for that
as a modern reader. I don't care for it.
Yeah.
I just don't like the style.
There it is.
But I appreciate all that shit. That's cool.
Yeah. Now, also for me, like the Peter David's Hulk, I loved the things that I read of it, but that came out at such a time when, I didn't have a pull list. It was like, oh, I got a Hulk issue from the back issue bin.
Yeah, you got pieces of
then I got another one that's 30 issues later. Some of the earlier Hulk things that I remember getting were Peter David stuff, and they were awesome. That's also at a time, for whatever reason, kids are like, yeah, I'll read issue 4 of 7. That's all good, And so he might have been going for 4 years before I ever saw an issue of this.
It's a bee in my bonnet for. So we're on a bunch of Facebook groups, like comic book Facebook groups, and people who just like give recs to other people. And there's always somebody that will ask like, "Hey, I was thinking of reading death metal. I was thinking of reading Dark Knight's death metal. Do I need to read anything before that?" And my response is usually always, "Look, just go for it.
Yeah.
If you're interested in it or you enjoy it,
you
could go back and read this and this and this. But it should just be open to you to enjoy it. Just read it." Yeah. But there's always somebody that comes into the chat and just like, well, you got to start with Grant Morrison's entire Justice League run.
You'll never appreciate it.
You'll never understand all the references unless you read Multiversity, all 45 issues of Batman, 3 events before it, 2 issues out of Final Crisis, 3 issues of the tie-ins, and then the entirety of, and you're just like, oh, fuck.
And you can finally sit down to read the thing that
and then you can finally sit down to read the 4 issues that you're interested in. And I
do the same thing in my shop.
So infuriating. Like, just sample something.
Yeah.
And the way that these books are constructed, they do not have to explicitly happen in linear fashion. They're just story arcs.
Yeah.
So if you start reading issues 45 and you like it, pull 45 on, and go back and start reading 1 through 40. Who cares?
And
that's how we did it. Yeah.
Maybe you'll enjoy it more. Like, like a TV show with a comedy, right? The very beginning of sitcoms are rarely that funny, but once you've already seen the really good stuff and you go back and watch it, you're like, oh yeah, season 1 is pretty good because I know the characters. Maybe it'll be better for
I want to circle back to Peter David of it all.
Yeah.
I started reading X Factor Investigations in issues.
Oh, yeah.
Because of Civil War tie-ins. I just sampled the book because I was I think Civil War was like hella late. So I was just grabbing like the stuff in between that was shipping that was like tied into Civil War, even though it didn't matter at all. So I started reading like random issues of X Factor Investigations. So fucking good that I at the same time went back and started reading like I think I started picking up the trades for the 20 issues or whatever before that.
That's when Multiple Man is running the it's great. Phenomenal.
And everything worked out fine. It was wonderful. Talkie. Yeah, I know you want to go. I got it. Have a good day.
See you, JD. Enjoy your comic store at 4327 Main Street, Pennsylvania.
We get it. Bye.
The talkie is over.
I was just having fun with the gifts. I was letting you guys go.
No, I can take a hit.
What were we talking about now? You enjoyed X Factor Investigations. That was a good comic.
Yeah, a lot of Peter David stuff. Not all of it hits me, but the good Peter David stuff is really, really good. Mm-hmm. The Incredible Hulk problem is a problem. I also went back to read from the beginning of Peter David's run, and I was like, oh no. Oh geez. But I do remember in the middle of that run is when I kind of jumped into it, and I loved it.
I mean, that's early in his career, right? That's like him like getting the idea of how to write a really good comics, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
I did love his X Factor stuff. I liked.
That may have been before. That was before it wasn't. Never mind.
I don't know.
Never mind what I said.
I love Peter David though. He's a writer that I will.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, he's at like a Mark Waid sort of realm where it's like he is so steeped in maybe a little more Marvel for him than DC, but he's also written some really solid DC stuff.
I finished this last night. Thor by JMS.
Okay.
Olivier Coipel. I've had this on my shelf for years. Never got around to reading it, but I'm on a little bit of a Thor kick.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I liked it at the time.
Because
I really liked it at the time too.
Yeah.
I finished it last night, and it starts out strong.
Yeah.
And it ends real fucking rough.
Yeah, that's with like Rain or like Norman Osborn has taken over.
No, they don't even touch on that shit. Like, it
really?
literally ends in the middle of like an arc of sorts where all of the Asgardians are on Latveria, and Thor is still exiled, and he just gets Sif back, and then it's just like Donald Blake's in the hospital, okay, and then it literally fucking ends, and a lot of the dialogue is super cringy. Like, it does not hold up. It's hella cringy. Like, there's a bunch of Volstagg dick jokes. And it's just like, yeah. Like, there's a whole scene of him being naked, and there's like 10 jokes about this is why they call him Volstagg the Great, and then Sif not being able to look away. And it's just like, this is so gross. Like, this is just cringy gross.
What's gross about a phenomenal penis?
The fact that, like, the butt of the joke is that the woman can't stop staring, and it'll take her long to avert her eyes because it's so big.
It comes along, and he's like,
it's a cringy fucking joke.
Like my erection selection.
But it's just it ends in such a whimper, and it doesn't complete the story arc, and it's just like,
I don't remember that ending at all. Whenever I think of how cool it was, it's the beginning.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't finish it.
I may not have
not
either.
good.
I don't know. Yeah.
It was so it was so disheartening that I'm just like, maybe I could sell this. It's out of print. Like, I will never read this ever.
But yeah, I think Peter David is like a Mark Waid kind of like steeped in the comics of the universe that they're saying that they're telling stories in, and like just telling very true to that character, fun, great, kind of iconic style comic storytelling. Yeah, which I love.
Robert Monroe Jr. is in the chat saying, have you listened to the Batman podcast on Spotify? It knocked Rogan off of the #1 spot. No, I canceled my Spotify subscription, and now I use Tidal.
I never had a Spotify subscription.
What? I don't. What's the Batman podcast? I guess it's like
it's a radio,
it's like a story.
Audio.
It's a radio play.
Yeah.
Radio play. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I
wonder if I can find it on Audible or something.
Well, they had them on HBO Max also. The last radio play they had on HBO Max, you could just like turn it on and play, and it was just like a screen and it played on.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, cool.
It was the the 30s radio one with
Cute.
new actors and
A
stuff.
Batman, thing, or yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Is this
It was a
Spotify
30s
exclusive?
It was a 30s
Yeah, it
radio.
It was a new story that took place in 1930s version of Batman as a radio play.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's new. It's not a redo of. I'm sorry, I said that all wrong. It's not a redo. It was new. And then the stuff that they're referring to, Robert Monroe's referring to, it's not Spotify exclusive, I don't think.
I have no idea.
It's
all
just
that I've heard about it, Spotify wise, is what Robert Monroe Jr. says, that it knocked Joe Rogan off number one.
It's
spot.
the one where Winston Duke is Batman, I think.
Really?
Baku. Yeah.
Who's Winston Duke?
Batman: The Audio Adventures.
Oh. Well, he looks that up. Do you know that Kryptonite was created on the Superman radio show? Do you guys know why? Because the actor that played Superman wanted a vacation. So they needed to come up with a way that he could just be kind of moaning, and it could be anybody do it. So he'd just be like, ah. And then that's why Kryptonite was created. Yeah. K-Metal, I think they might have. Or no, K-Metal was in the comics, and then it's very similar to Kryptonite, but it ended up being Kryptonite, obviously.
So I guess it's called Batman Unburied.
Oh, that was nice.
But it's called a Spotify podcast, so I guess it's Spotify exclusive for now anyway.
All right.
Yeah, well.
I probably wasn't going to listen to it anyway, even if it was available on something that I could listen to. But I'm glad that it exists.
It's different than the HBO radio play, says Robert. I didn't enjoy that. I didn't check that out either. That's the one that you're talking about, right, Noel?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Maybe I'll check that out. Probably not, though. I still have to catch up on Firepower.
Yeah.
That's my excuse for everything I don't do.
Not sleep until you catch up on Firepower. Do not watch anything else, at least. You can do normal bodily functions like sleeping.
Can I rewatch all of Ozark?
That's fine, but
cool.
I'd at least hold Firepower while you're doing it.
In the pantheon of stressful shows to like start watching, I think Ozark comes after Better Call Saul, because I want to catch up on that first.
Oh, okay.
Listen, Ozark is way quicker than Better. You got so much Better Call Saul. You can blow through Ozark.
I mean, Better Call Saul is
I have no idea how many Better Call Sauls there are.
Yeah, you could have like 3 episodes left.
It's 2 more. I mean, yeah, there only is like 5 episodes left, but it's only 2 more seasons, and the seasons are only like 8 episodes apiece. So it's not like that much.
That's on my list too, because they keep talking about it on the film podcast, the Filmcast.
Oh yeah,
I watched the first season and it was phenomenal, but then I never continued.
I watched the first episode and went, eh.
I mean,
Better Call Saul. That's still that's still the show of topic.
It took like 6 or 7 episodes into Breaking Bad to like really click for me. So
it happens.
Oh no! First episode of Breaking Bad in. I was like, we're good here.
Did you guys see they cast the new Doctor? That's something people.
Yeah, it's a guy I don't know.
I don't know him either, but in contrast to many Doctor Who casting choices, somebody I know has seen a show that he is in. You know, a lot of times it's like somebody not at all, but our friend Rob Patey said that he liked him in Sex Education, and another friend of mine said he liked him. I've seen like 3 or 4 photos of the guy by now, and in several of those, he is smiling in a way that I could definitely see the Doctor. You know, like he has this sort of look about him that looks cool for the Doctor.
The last 2 Doctors I was aware of as actors before.
Yeah.
Jodie Whittaker.
I knew that she was in the Black Mirror and Broadchurch.
I watched Broadchurch. I saw her in Broadchurch. I was like, oh, I know who that is.
Was so good.
And I watched every single second of In the Thick of It twice. So I knew who Peter Capaldi was.
And he's also was in Doctor Who or Torchwood before. Yeah. Also. But
Torchwood. Yeah, that's right. He was Frobisher. But yeah, those are the only 2. Other than that, I'm always expecting the Doctor Who new person to be someone I've never seen. Or
whenever people are like, oh, I wonder if it's going to be this person, it's like I can almost guarantee you the fact that you know that person well enough to wonder means that it's not going to be that person.
Yeah,
right.
It won't be.
And so far, it never has been.
No.
Yeah, but yeah, he looks cool. Shooty is how you pronounce his name. I've learned.
It's the NCUTI, right?
Yeah. It's pronounced Shooty. So
Cool.
that's certainly not something that I would have known.
I think
by the letters involved.
JD has checked out.
He's reading Firepower at last.
So I don't know if he wants to close the show or not. And
I do.
Oh, okay.
Time to read
All right, guys.
Firepower.
Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. This has been delightful. We appreciate you guys swinging by and hanging out with us for the 2 hours.
Oh,
2
Robert
hours.
Monroe Jr. Yes, I loved it. I loved that show. Strange New World.
The question is, did you watch Star Trek: Brave New Worlds? No, I haven't. That's next on our list.
Ooh.
Still like
very, very good.
One
things.
episode, and I quite enjoyed it.
Mars says, this was great. Once again, a really good show. Thanks, Mars.
Thank you, Mars Comics.
Email me about the book so I can send it to you.
Yeah, he won't read Firepower until you do.
That's right.
Oh, that's rude.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we will talk at you later. Patreon.com/Johnny